What is the biggest adult temper tantrum that you've ever witnessed? I worked the front desk at a hotel a few years ago. A guest came to check in around 10 p.m. and asked if he could get a room with 2 beds. He booked 1 bed. I told him we were sold out of rooms with 2 beds. Before I could offer him anything else, he took the bowl of apples we had at the desk and threw it against the wall. Then he took his own laptop, threw it on the ground and started kicking it around the lobby. Security came out promptly and told him he needed to leave, which obviously prompted more screaming and kicking. Needless to say, he didn't stay at the hotel that night. One time I was in Target trying to return something, so I was in the customer service line. There was a lady a couple of people in front of me at the counter, arguing with an employee about some coupon she was trying to use. Evidently this had been going on for a while before I arrived, as I could see the people in front of me were visibly irritated and antsy. The whole time this was going on, the woman's husband had their 2 kids standing right next to the main door of the store, waiting. Mind you, this was about 9 p.m. at night, and both kids were in their pajamas, so were both adults, for that matter. One of the kids was literally screaming bloody murder the entire time. Periodically, the woman would turn aside from her conversation with the employee and outright yell at the kid to shut up. This lady wasn't backing down about the coupon business, and neither was the employee. It got to the point where both of the people in front of me gave up and just left. I wanted to do the same, but I really needed to return this item and didn't want to have to come back another time. So I'm now next in line and can hear a lot better what's going on. This lady is freaking out now, telling the employee how she'll get her fired, getting inches from her face and yelling all kinds of insane shit for an adult to do. The employee, God bless her, remained cool and calmly told her the coupon could not be honored. This whole time I just assumed this coupon was for some significant savings, but what I heard next, I'll never forget. The customer screams, "I'm not paying 24 cents extra." 24 cents. That was what the coupon was for. This lady had been standing here for literally 45 minutes, willingly embarrassing herself and keeping her exhausted kids from sleeping over 24 cents. I seriously don't understand some people. Shout out to that employee though. I would need a long shower and a few drinks after that interaction. This happens all the time. When I worked at Best Buy, I had someone who wanted to use a coupon that states for full price items only, so I said no. They bitched, so I did an override, put the item at full price, applied the coupon, which made it $30 more, and then she threw it at me. I called over to AP to call the cops without her knowing, and then told her I'd take care of her. Cops showed up, she got slapped with a bunch of shit, and ended up seeing time for assaulting an officer. I think it has to be when the ancient supermarket across the way was closing, because a new store had been built a mile away. They had this huge, everything must go sale. I was scavenging for closeouts, as was everyone else. At the checkout, a 60-something woman was angry that you people didn't have what she wanted. Then she proceeded to tell the cashier, in her 40s, she was happy she was losing her job and she hoped she would become homeless. At some point she also called the cashier an nincompoop. The manager asked her to leave, and she went on an incomprehensible tirade. I just hope that old lady never walked into the new store, because the entire staff of the old store worked there too, and I strongly suspect they will remember her. I worked in a grocery store, and a woman asked me to slice her organic bread. She flipped out when she discovered that non-organic bread was also sliced on the machine. She stomped her foot and yelled, "But that messes up the organic integrity." It was my last week working there, so I simply told her, "Ma'am, please understand, I'm not emotionally involved in the situation." She froze and just walked away with the bread. When I was 16, I worked at McDonald's. This was in the days of Beanie Babies. A woman came in with her 2 small children. She ordered some Happy Meals and wanted a specific Beanie Baby. When she found out that we didn't have it, she flipped out. She called us every name in the book, right in front of her little kids and everyone else's kids. She was a real Meanie Baby. Dude I was standing behind in line at the grocery store, got pissed at the cashier for charging him by the pound for grapes. He was adamant that the listed price was for the bunch, and was making a huge scene and getting nasty with the cashier. He asked me to come with him so he can show me, was within viewing distance from the register, and I just wanted the line to move. We walked over to the grapes, and he showed me the label and said, "What does that say?" Looking all proud. I pointed at the small text under the price and said, "Per pound." He got even more pissed, and checked out talking shit the whole way through and left. I was in line behind some lady in a gas station, who was absolutely insistent the guy take 23 cents off whatever it was she was trying to buy. He tried every way he could to explain to this lady that he couldn't do it, but she just wouldn't listen. I finally gave up and just slapped $1 down on the counter and said, "I'll pay for the rest of it." She then of course insists that he not accept my money, and that she wanted him to give her the 23 cents. Instead he quickly picked up my dollar and told her to get out. Now it's my regular gas station, and he gives me a free Red Bull on Monday mornings. $1 upfront for $3 in product weekly for the rest of your days. Nice return on investment, bro. A little old lady in an unbridled rage, absolutely red in the face, screaming at a teenage Baskin-Robbins employee because she wanted 10 cents off a 99-cent ice cream cone. The deal was only available on Sundays, and it was Thursday. She made us wait in line behind her while she argued over a dime. The cashier couldn't do anything because the register was electronic and wouldn't apply the discount. I was about to pay the lady in loose change to move along, but someone stepped in to assist us off to the side. We were in and out in a few minutes, and the irate octogenarian was still raging when I left. Once had dinner at a restaurant with a group of people who'd been partying all day. Just after the meal was served, one guy cracked up about something and upturned the whole table. Food spilt, plates destroyed, dresses ruined, and he walks off down the road. To make matters worse, we all had to chip in to pay for the smashed plates and uneaten meals. What a great end to fun day. I work in retail, and I saw one woman literally flip her full cart over and walk out after her coupons wouldn't go through. It was actually extremely impressive now that I think about it. It must have had $150 of groceries at least. Doesn't sound that hard. I mean, $150. What could that be? Like 15 bananas? Had a patient family member that was super picky, constantly calling the nurse's station, constantly coming out of the room to complain. She was upset because she ordered a guest tray, wanted a cheeseburger, and it hadn't come up yet. Another patient coded next door. So basically, patient was literally dying. All of us nurses left crazy lady to go to the code, and the lady went batshit, yelling, "You don't care about my cheeseburger." We ignored her, lol. That's correct. We don't care about your cheeseburger. Flying out of JFK with my boss and team analyst. We have about 1 minute 15 seconds before our flight leaves, so we decide to sit down and eat at one of those restaurants where you order via a tablet. We all order. 10 minutes later our food comes out. My boss and I get burger, he gets his with a side salad. Team's analyst gets a chicken sandwich. Guy at table next to us looks at my boss's plate, very condescendingly states, "You're eating my turkey burger." Boss lifts his bun, confirms burger is beef, and answers, "No, I'm eating my hamburger, not your turkey burger." Guy at table next to us now stands up, looks like a German villain from a bad 80s movie. Guy makes a beeline to the waiter that served us, and starts screaming, "Where is my turkey burger? I was here 4 minutes before the three of them, and still don't have my turkey burger." Waiter, who is an older Indian man, is visibly nervous. Guy keeps screaming, "I ordered a turkey burger, it hasn't came. I want my turkey burger, I demand satisfaction." Waiter says he'll check, and rushes back into kitchen, slinks back out about 2 minutes later. Noticeable knows he has to confront this guy again, and doesn't want to. "So," says the waiter, "no order has been placed at any of the tablets on your table." Guy starts screaming, "This is bullshit. You think I don't know how to use a tablet? I want my turkey burger, I demand satisfaction." 5 more minutes ensue of him screaming about demanding satisfaction. Waiter finally grabs the tablet at his table. Order for turkey burger was keyed in. Submit order button was never hit. Guy is now angry and embarrassed, has a look on his face like he's going to go home and beat his wife. Waiter looks smug. He's the one who actually got satisfaction out of all of this. The parking garage near my work is a frustrating place. The monthly customers have a parking pass that lifts the gates to get in and to get out. The thing is, the pass and their sensor don't work. You have to creep up to where you think the sweet spot might be, wave your pass around, reverse and try again, curse a bunch, endure people behind you honking, despite them going through the same thing. Frustrating. Not surprisingly, I witnessed a grown man throw the most excellent temper tantrum I've ever seen. The gate wouldn't go up, and he just started screaming in his car and smashing on the horn, straight out of a movie. The worst part is that the gate always seems to go up right when you reach peak rage. So he's yelling away, and then the gate is just like, alright, man. I'll open. Jeez. Plot twist. There's no sensor, it's just a guy watching the cameras waiting for peak rage before he opens the gate. I was recently driving on a small country road when I saw a traffic jam in the distance. I drove my motorcycle ahead of the traffic until I saw two ladies facing each other in their cars. Both tried to pass each other, but neither wanted to make enough room for each other to make that possible. They could just drive forward and it would be over, but no, they just refused to pass each other and decided to just sit there and create chaos on this small road because they didn't want to drive on the small patch of gravel. I was at the pharmacy around 8 PM, waiting in line behind an older lady. The pharmacist tells her she'll have to pick up her prescription tomorrow at 10 AM because this location doesn't carry this particular medication. The following ensues. Lady, I'll wait. Pharmacist, no ma'am, we physically don't have it in this store. You have to come back tomorrow at 10 AM. Lady, let me speak to the manager. Pharmacist, I am the manager, I'm the pharmacist, and this is my store. I'm telling you, we do not have this medication right now. Lady, can you just give me one pill and I'll get the rest tomorrow? Pharmacist, ma'am, we don't have any of the pills here. Lady, what if I pay you for the cost of that one pill right now, and I get the rest tomorrow? Pharmacist, ma'am, I can't give you one pill because we have 0 pills in this store. You'll be fine until tomorrow at 10 AM, I promise. The woman proceeds to go apeshit. She begins throwing stuff on the shelves onto the floor, stamping on them, screaming about how she will sue this pharmacy, and how she's never seen such terrible customer service in her life. She even started kicking the partition between her and the pharmacist, threatening to go back there and fill it herself. It didn't even seem like she was upset about the medication itself, it was more that she didn't get her way and didn't want to come back. He asked a clerk to come help, and the whole time, she's grabbing 4 things and throwing them onto the floor in fury. She gets escorted out, and we could still hear her yelling outside. Edit 1. The medication wasn't for any kind of mental disorder or anger problem. Edit 2. I'm not disagreeing that it's incredibly frustrating when you need a medication and it isn't available. I'm simply reporting the outrageous behavior that I witnessed. Edit 3. Pharmacists and farm techs, you guys are saints. Thank you for what you do, and for what you have to deal with on a daily basis. I was a kid in a mall when I was able to shop by myself, and saw a lady blow a fuse at some guy behind the counter. Calling him names and whatnot, just losing her shit. He just puts up the palm of his hand and says, "Ma'am, I believe you are too irrational to deal with." And then just pivots 180 degrees not facing her, and ignores her. Waits for her to leave, and when she does, he just proceeds to say to the next person, "May I help you?" Like nothing even happened. I learned a lot from that guy in 1.5 minutes. When I worked in the bakery at Whole Foods, we had a customer who kept asking us to make banana muffins with a lot of pecans on top for her, but only a few at a time, like 2 or 3. In general it was a request we could accommodate, but we had a few considerations we had to account for, like the fact that if we made them and she didn't pick them up, we couldn't sell them to anyone else, because pecans weren't on the ingredient list. The problems started arising when she would call us while she was on the way to the store, expecting to pick them up when she arrived. She was about 20 minutes away, and they took 45 minutes to bake. Even if she had called us while she was an hour away, we were on a pretty tight production schedule, and someone would have to interrupt the work they had to get done that day for an unexpected special order for this one customer. First she got mad that we couldn't magically make them in 20 minutes, because chemistry. I was unfortunately the supervisor on shift when she called most of the time, so she'd keep me on the phone for 15 minutes raging about how the customer is always right, even though she was factually incorrect in this circumstance. She started saying we should just make them her way all the time, so that we always had them on hand for her. I explained to her that we could get heavily fined by food inspectors if we did that, but that only made her angrier, because, duck the man, I guess. Eventually my team leader said that we had to put our foot down with her, and tell her that she had to put in special orders 2 days in advance, just like everyone else. When we told her this, she of course got like sputtering infuriated, along the lines of, how am I supposed to know when I'm going to want them? We were able to just say, well management says so, sorry, and we thought that was that. She went along with it for a couple days, sending her poor mother to pick them up for her, because she was too angry to step foot in the store. Her mom always looks so apologetic. Finally, though, she came in personally to berate my team about how rude and inconsiderate, and generally shitty we had been to her. Then she asked to speak to our store manager, who had been made aware of the whole banana nut saga. He escorted her outside and told her she was banned from the store. We found out later that she had also been banned from the 3 nearest Whole Foods locations over this exact same set of circumstances. Not the biggest, but one that comes to mind was a job I had years ago, where all but one of us had to do this really annoying group task, involving lots of back and forth trips to laundromat on the hottest day of that year. We were academic counselors for a summer program, and we had to walk groups of 30 students about a mile away to do laundry, cause the college's machines broke, and these kids were getting stinky. The only one exempt from this task was the one sucker who always kissed the ass of the main top supervisor. We all assumed she was exempt because she kissed so much ass, but I think the supervisor just forgot to assign a task to her, because she was so useless. On our 3rd trip back, she's literally lounging in the lobby with her feet up on a chair doing nothing. The supervisor walks by, notices her, has what seems to have been a moment of realization, and then tells her to get a group and start doing the same laundry trips the rest of us are doing. She went nuts. Duckin' bonkers. She's not screaming, but she's whining really loudly and quickly, and repeating, that's not fair, this isn't fair, over and over and over again. The fact that she felt it wasn't fair is what infuriated me most. She then punched a hole in the lobby wall, in frustration over having to do the same job everyone else had to do. 2 days later, the main supervisor got fired, and the assistant supervisor, who this lazy worker was bad-mouthing in an attempt to get into upper management's good graces, was then made the top supervisor. This did not end well for the lazy one, LMAO. Not so much a tantrum, but just an incredible rage incident. I watched as a woman exiting an Einstein Bros Bagels looked into her bag, and, in anger over some error in her order, perfectly frisbeed an all-grain bagel across the length of the store, over sitting customers, and beamed the cashier perfectly on the head. Her aim was so impressive that none of us, including the cashier, could do anything but stare in silent store. Someone opened a window on the bus, and some guy went nuts, stood up and slammed it shut, and starting giving everybody a lecture how this guy should consider everyone else. We of course all English told him to shut the duck up, and opened the window again. The woman in the cubicle across from me, literally every day. Examples, her new puppy won't sit quietly beside her for 2 hours at her kid's baseball game. The person who just called her wasn't 100% sure what they wanted, and she has to work a bit with them to find out. Someone kindly asked for a response on the same day with multiple apologies for the short notice. Her mother went to Vegas without her, she's 35. I got a review and she didn't. I repeatedly explained that I arranged the review, so I could make sure I was doing my job well as it was a new position to me. All of the above and so many more, all result in phone slamming, needing a smoke, swearing, And OMG usually crying in the ladies room. We are a department of 2, so I get to pick up the slack. I told a grown woman she could not pet my service dog while he was working. She got herself so worked up she started shouting and told me that if I didn't want people to pet my dog, I shouldn't bring him into the grocery store. I expect this sort of behavior from young children, and I also expect their parents to keep them under control. I used to work at a Whole Foods as a cashier, and on one particularly busy night I was about to have my customer pay when he took his cart, pulled it back, and slammed it into the next guy's cart at the register next to mine. Those registers are really tight quarters. My guy then raised his voice saying, "I can't even reach the machine to swipe my card. Move your cart, arsehole." This was crazy, because he could have just moved his own cart out of the way, but insisted on slammed his neighbor's instead. So the next guy over, calm as a Zen master, slowly turns to the guy, looks at the carts, looks at me, looks at my guy, and just says, "We can fight about it if you want." Me and the other cashier tried our hardest not to laugh, but the look of embarrassment on my guy's face as he realized how ridiculous he was acting was something else. He got shut down.